with the audience, you can ask questions too, because this event tonight is all about you. So, we've left some time at the end to squeeze in some questions that you may want to ask. To submit a question, it must be in writing. So we've got some notepads and pens, and Brett and Kim. Brett, give away, and Kim over there. So they have the notepads and pens. So she's going to serve as your timekeeper tonight. She'll give you a sign.
By training, and had advised governments around the world, worked in Washington, and knew that San Diego deserved so much better. Under my opponent's time in office, we saw homelessness double on his watch. We saw a complete and utter failure to invest in mental health services or substance abuse treatment services. We saw complete inaction on the vital important issue of gun safety. No action on climate change. So I ran for office with a vow to do better, and I spent the last 4 years making big strides on these important issues for our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kara. Kevin, over to you.
Well, thank you. All right, again. We'll leave it on. How's that? Testing 1, 2, 3. How's everybody doing tonight? Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you to the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce. Since it is great to see all of you. I am running for this seat because things are headed in the wrong direction. They are going the wrong direction because we haven't had the leadership of the County of San Diego over the last 4 years. And tonight I'm looking forward to talking about the issues that matter to us most. As chamber members, you understand that you deserve a representative who's going to support our small businesses. We're the backbone of our economy. But more than that, you need a champion for the issues that matter the most. And I will tell you, one of the biggest reasons that I decided to jump back into politics after the privilege of serving as mayor for 2 terms is because of the disaster that's happening on our streets with homelessness. With your help and your support, we actually drove homelessness down by double digits in the city of San Diego. And to see what's happening now, skyrocketing up here in the North County, 65% in Del Mar and Solana Beach, over 80% here in the city of Carlsbad. Why? Because our county isn't leading. The county needs to take the lead. And I am going to do that, to give people the help and the support that they deserve, to actually put up the shelter beds that we need and the mental health beds, but enforce our quality of life. And ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you very directly, I'm not going to let San Diego County turn into Los Angeles or San Francisco. I'm looking forward to talking about a lot of other issues tonight in terms of housing. Time. Oh, testing.
That's what happens when you diss LA.
Testing. And, of course, public safety. I'm proud to be endorsed by our Carlsbad Police Officers Association. Thank you to the men and women who are here from our police department, who wear the badge for us every single day and night. If you want somebody who's going to show up to work, if you want somebody who's actually going to do the job, I ask for your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, candidates. Just a quick reminder, no filming, please, audience. We do need to all abide by that, so no filming, please, in the front also. Thank you. Okay, candidates, so thank you so much for that. It's great that you introduced yourselves, maybe to some of us who aren't quite as familiar with you. Now we're going to go to the actual questions. So just to recap, you have 2 minutes each to answer these questions. And Tara, we will start with you. So question number 1. What is your vision for the County of San Diego, and what's holding it back from achieving this vision?
Thank you so much for that question. I ran for office 4 years ago, and I'm running for re-election because I'm fighting for clean air, clean water, and clean streets for our community to keep us safe and to keep us healthy. And that means that we need to keep working on fixing the Tijuana sewage crisis that is polluting our ocean. It means that we need to double down and triple down on the steps we've begun to make in transforming our approach to homelessness. Since I was elected, we've gone from exactly zero, county-supported shelter beds to almost 1,000. We've increased by 30% our investment in mental health and behavioral health services, and we've done that without raising a single tax because we've actually gone out and sought out the state and federal money that we deserve in our community. We've made real progress on the Tijuana sewage issue, securing $400 million to repair the sewage treatment plant. We've got $300 million left to go, but that's a huge step forward. They've already started construction. And we've made big strides in some of the issues that I think affect people who are parents really close to our heart. Issues around gun violence and gun safety, issues around climate change, making sure that kids can go to school and not worry about being shot by an active shooter, making sure that we are doing our part to protect our climate for future generations, and starting to make a dent on the housing crisis. We at the county have set aside 6 spots of surplus land, 6 county sites, to build 10,000 affordable units. We will have those built by 2030. And my vision for the County of San Diego is to continue fighting for safe schools, clean water, clean air, and clean streets for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, and the same to you, please, Kevin. Would you like me to repeat the question?
My vision of San Diego County is a county that works. A county that works for all of us. You know, I've had a very bipartisan approach. That's what I've been known for. I'll work with anyone for everyone. And I think that's what we need in the County of San Diego, not hyper-partisanship. And somebody who's going to actually get results and not talk about rhetoric on some of the most important issues. I mean, when we talk about the issue of housing, this County Board of Supervisors is failing on housing. They passed the most draconian VMT, vehicle miles traveled standard, of any county in California. And they were warned that if you did it, you were going to shut down and actually have a de facto housing moratorium. And that's how much actually has happened since we did it. Give you a little quiz. Do you know how many housing units the county approved last year? Residential housing through a discretionary permit process, do you know how many? 57. I would submit to you that we're in the midst of a housing crisis. That is the wrong approach. And I'm someone who cares deeply about our natural environment. In fact, someone who got that $300 million from Washington, D.C. while I was mayor for the Tijuana River crisis. And to see the inaction that's happened is devastating. But yet, let's not talk about what's going on the border. Let's talk about what's happening right here in our District 3. We have the largest homeless encampment in the midst of one of our natural treasures, the San Diego River. And I've been bringing highlights about it. County is completely ignoring it. Not only the garbage, the waste, the feces that are going into the water in Mission Bay, we need to act, and I'm going to. If that massive encampment is still there when I take office because she hasn't addressed it at all, I'm going to remove it the very first month that I'm there. We need action at the county, ladies and gentlemen. And I think what we're seeing is talk and rhetoric and process, but no results. If you actually want results and somebody who can work with all sides, I ask for your help.
Thank you, candidates. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to take a pause. There is still filming in the front row, so madam, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Sir, as well, you appear to be filming with your phone.
I'm not filming anything.
Okay, if you could put your cell phone down, please.
Everyone has their phone?
I went over the rules at the beginning, sir and madam. So, Brett, if you could kindly ask our two guests at the front to leave, please.
How is that okay? I know
We went over the rules
we
at the
never
beginning.
see that film.
No one is allowed
We've been
to
told
film
before.
here.
We never get that film
filming.
in the Chambers YouTube
You made that
channel.
very
That never
clear.
happened. Well, I'm sorry. I know, that's why we're going to put it out. We're putting it out for everybody.
Okay, so this unfortunately is impeding on the public's event tonight. So if you could kindly exit the room so we can get on with the proceedings, because the public are missing out here. They need to ask questions. Okay, so unfortunately we're going to have to pause because we have two members on the front row that are refusing to comply with the rules of tonight's event.
Recording.
So it's up to you guys if you want to postpone tonight, which is not going to be good for either candidate, that's fine, but right now I cannot proceed. Okay.
We're not doing it. I'm not filming anything. My phone's not even on.
So just to go over the House rule again, which applies to this situation, electronic devices, please silence or turn off all electronic devices and no filming. Okay, thank you. Okay, great, so we can get back to proceedings. So candidates, the next question. There are currently a few difficult issues in District 3 involving train tracks on the bluff along the coast, which many of us will be aware of who live along the coast. There are multiple solutions being proposed by Sandag. Please share your view on the ideal solution. And Kevin, can we start with you first, please?
Oh, thank you. The track needs to be moved. The alignment needs to happen. There's no doubt about it. We've had multiple ideas for the alignment. We have to pick one. My guiding principles on this is going to be, it has to be safe, it has to work, and it has to be something that we can actually afford. And not just here in San Diego County. This is, frankly, a national issue. To have the rail connection from Los Angeles to San Diego, and then, of course, ultimately out to east. Our national military readiness depends on it with Camp Pendleton. Our port of San Diego depends on it. I'm very proud to have been endorsed by the International Longshoremen Warehouse Union. Those men and women know how important it is not just to have the ships that come into our port, but to have rail that comes into it. So I'm looking forward to lending my voice, again, not just here at the local level, but to instill a sense of urgency that says, let's not plan this to death. The bluffs are eroding. The track is literally several feet away from falling in. And so we need a sense of urgency, somebody who has a demonstrated ability to work with the state and the federal government. Worked very closely with a lot of our folks when it came to Amtrak and others on the quiet zone in terms of San Diego. It took a long time, but we got that achieved. I know how to push. We have to get an alignment that works, an alignment that is fair, and an alignment that we can afford.
Thank you, Kevin. Now, the same question to you, please.
Sure, I'd love to talk about that alignment, but first I just want to address some misinformation being shared by my opponent here. On the river encampment, which has been one of my top priorities, we secured $17 million to clear that encampment from the state. We've been working to do that, and the notion that he can come in as supervisor and just clear the encampment shows he doesn't understand what the county board's jurisdiction is. It's in the city of San Diego. Only in the city of San Diego you can actually go in there and clear the encampment. You're not running for mayor of the city of San Diego. You're running for the board of supervisors. But that being said, talking about the alignment. I'm really excited, so thank you very much to Representative Tony Atkins, the Wenchua State Senator. She got $300 million to move those tracks off the bluff. It's happening. There are 3 alignment proposals that have been developed. Del Mar is working really hard to figure out which one makes sense for the citizens of Del Mar. One, I think, is pretty roundly opposed. That's option A. So I think we're looking at the others. My priority is making sure that we have the alignment that is going to create the most natural open space for the community. It is such a beautiful resource, that those bluffs, the Del Mar, the entire Del Mar region, those wetlands, and there's some really beautiful visionary plans that have been put out that would create a big open space park, that would create a lot of natural resources for us to be able to access the beach. And I think it's important that the alignment supports those natural resources and that access. And frankly, an alignment that can get done quickly, because having access to transit is absolutely essential for us meeting our climate goals. And I'm very proud that we passed a climate action plan at the County of San Diego just last week, almost 4 years to undo the mess left by our previous board. But we're going to keep fighting for the rail and trails that we need to make that climate action a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. So the next question. Sandag has previously proposed a vehicle miles travel tax as a way to pay for their projects. While this has been removed from the current funding plan, please share your views on a possible vehicle miles travel tax and how you would vote were you on the Sandag board. And Tara, we will start with you on this one, please.
I'm against the vehicle miles travel tax. I voted against it when I was on the Sandag board, and I would vote against it again. I'm very committed to reaching our climate action goals. That's why I've been championing a climate action plan in the county for the last 4 years. As I mentioned, we finally passed that just last week. And the vehicle miles travel tax is not actually going to help us get there, I think, at this time, particularly because there's such a huge movement towards electric vehicles. So as the kind of contours of what it means to drive in San Diego change, we really have to focus on making sure that we can support working families to get to jobs, to get to work, investing in the kind of climate action that prioritizes equity and really takes into account that a lot of people are struggling. You know, people are dealing with inflation, the rising cost of gas, the rising cost of housing, and my commitment as we take action on climate is to do it in a way that keeps costs down for the everyday person, and make sure that people keep their hard-earned money in their pocket and spend on the things that matter to them, like their kids and those things that really make a difference in their day-to-day lives. Thank you.
Vehicle mileage tax, no, no, no. And not just no now, but no into the future as well. My opponent voted for the vehicle mileage tax before she voted against it. Because she got so much heat, she decided, that's probably not a good idea to having the government tax you for every single mile you drive. That's crazy. We're not going to do that. That's not who we are as San Diegans. And so the answer to that is absolutely not. Let me also go back to the river, because my opponent will talk a lot about process and dollars. You don't need $17 million, ladies and gentlemen, to clean up a massive homeless encampment in the San Diego River. What you need is the political will to get in there and get it done. Whether it's the city, the county, and the county has the health department last time I checked. And what's going on out there is not only a human catastrophe, but an environmental catastrophe. And to sit back and to say, we're going to wait for the state to give us the dollars, that's not who we are. That river park is so incredibly important. In fact, it was so important to me while I was mayor, I had a meeting every single month with representatives of the River Park Foundation. And we cleaned out every single encampment, had private property owners held accountable. This is a treasure for us and for our families. And to see what's happening up and down the San Diego River right now, it's shameful. We need action. And we're not going to point fingers. Is it the city? Is it the state? No, I'm going to take action here, Supervisor, and I'm going to clean it up.
Touched upon this point already tonight, but this next question centralizes that point. So homelessness, as we all know, has become a significant issue throughout the county. Communities within District 3 recently saw significant increases in homelessness per the point in time count this year. Kevin, I'm going to ask you to start, but if you could share how you think the county should seek to solve this challenge, please.
Yeah, show up and actually get to work on it. And I think one of the things that we've seen is my opponent is vice chair of the county's region-wide homeless committee, the Continuum of Care. The vice chair is a leader. And you know how many meetings that she's gone to in the last 3 years as vice chair? 0.
That's a lie.
I would submit to
That
you
is a lie.
that if you actually want to have homelessness go down, you need to have somebody who's going to step up and do it.
So, Tara, you will... So candidates, no interrupting, you will get the chance to reply once Kevin has spoken.
I promise not to interrupt you if you don't interrupt me. Thank you.
Okay, please continue.
So what we need is action. And what we're not getting is that homelessness, I don't need to tell anybody in this room, it's at the highest point that it's ever been. It's gone up every single year that she's been in office. And the county should lead. And I saw it very clearly while I was mayor. And I actually worked very hard against the county board of supervisors to say, we need a regional plan. Don't let each individual city have to come up with their own resources. One of the biggest reasons that I'm running for this office is the county should lead on homelessness and have a region-wide plan with all 18 cities and to say, let's make sure we're providing the mental health, let's make sure we're providing the services, let's make sure we have a county-wide enforcement posture. I felt so strongly about that I was mayor that I created a new division of the San Diego Police Department called the Neighborhood Policing Division, whose sole focus was on homelessness and quality of life. And that's why this model worked. We actually have to have people that are going to have a sense of urgency. And I would just say lastly, because you're hearing a theme here with our county not acting, there is such a low sense of urgency that the state of California just took away $10 million from
office 4 years ago, in large part because of the disaster that our regional leadership had left us in on the homelessness crisis. Under Kevin Faulkner, homelessness doubled. He's bragging about what he did with the San Diego River encampments. Yeah, he moved people out of sight, out of mind, into small, tight quarters, which caused a hepatitis A outbreak that sickened hundreds of people, killed dozens of people. A state audit said Kevin Faulkner was directly responsible because of his completely irresponsible neglect of the homelessness crisis that focused just on pushing people out of sight so nobody had to look at the problem and not doing anything to solve it. Kevin Faulkner refused to invest in any mental health services, any behavioral health services when he was the mayor. Instead, he cooked the books on his own record. He changed the way homelessness was counted on his watch so that if you were living in an RV, you weren't being counted as homeless anymore. So he could say that homelessness fell under his term in office. He cooked the books, he lied about his record just like he's lying about mine. As vice chair of the Regional Task Force on Homelessness, I'm at almost every meeting. I've led the fight to roll out our diversion program, which has now helped over 1,600 residents of the District 3 to stay out of homelessness. I've led the work to roll out a senior shelter rent subsidy that's providing $500 a month to seniors that are at risk of becoming unhoused. I've led the work build those shelter beds that I talked about, going from zero to nearly 1,000 beds in our region. And it is shameful that they took $10 million, the governor Newsom took $10 million from us. And I am the lone vote against that. I was the lone vote to build those tiny homes. Because homelessness is a crisis, and I believe we have to take a data-driven approach. We have to look at diversion programs, senior rent subsidies, interventions that work, not a bunch of promises that someone can't deliver.
Okay, thank you. Is one of the major contributors to homelessness. So given that, Tara, how do you see promoting mental health services in our district?
It is one of the biggest contributors. Nearly 50% of the people that are unhoused on our streets are there because they're suffering from a mental health or a substance abuse crisis. First of all, since I was elected, we've increased by 10 times the number of outreach workers on our streets. We've increased by 30% the amount that we're investing in mental health services for San Diegans. That includes workers, services, but also beds. We built hundreds of beds. We're now in a partnership that we're negotiating with UCSD to build another 40 beds. I've been the leading voice fighting for urgent implementation of CareCorp. We're the first county in the state of California to raise our hand and volunteer to pilot CareCorp, which mandates that if you need help and you're suffering from a mental health crisis, you have to get that treatment. And we've now seen over 150 people go through CareCorp and begin getting the treatment that they need so that they are not sleeping on our streets. And we know that this is a crisis that has been brewing for decades. It's been brewing for decades ever since Reagan in the 70s defunded homeless and mental health services. We've gone from 60,000 mental health beds in the 70s to only 11,000 today. And we have been fighting over the last 4 years to turn that trend around. That's why we fought to pass Prop 1, so we'd actually have the money to build those beds. And we're going to continue fighting that fight. Unfortunately, my opponent was doing nothing on this issue when he was mayor, and he never did anything on mental health or on substance abuse until he had that hepatitis A outbreak that killed so many people, put all of our public health at risk, and then all of a sudden, when he was looking really bad, then he started trying to scramble to say he's doing something on mental health and the homelessness crisis. That's not what I'm about. I'm about leading, not following. Thank you.
So the next question is about the McLennan-Palomar Airport. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My bad. I'm so sorry.
After all the fuzzy math, I was ready to go. Come on.
Sorry. Go ahead, Kevin. Thank you.
There's a lot of numbers incorrect. But what's a tragedy on our streets, what we're seeing, is a real lot, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to give people help. And if you just stand back and don't do anything, and hope people change their mind and go their way, nothing's going to change. That's why I took the dramatic action that I took as mayor. When we decided, and by the way, I picked the locations myself, our bridge shelters. I noted with, I don't know if it's interest or what's the right word, but when my opponent put out a video the other day remarking on her progress budget, she stood in front of one of the shelters that I put up in the city of San Diego.
Tara, no interrupting. I'm sorry. No interrupting. Tara, you must like Kevin. Kevin, hurry up. Settle down, please. No, hopefully no interrupting. Kevin, continue, please.
That's why lenience is important. And that's why, again, that the county needs to take the lead. And if you don't have somebody who's going to bring all of the cities together and say, we are going to have standards, we are going to actually get people off the street. You know, I was just talking with Donnie D at the Rescue Commission just a couple of weeks ago. I'm so proud of what they're doing. They don't take a single government dime. We need somebody who has the experience to know, here's what the county should do and drive it, work with our private partners. But you got to show up. Decisions are made by people who are in the room. And if you're not attending, if you're never there, it's no wonder that homelessness is at an all-time high and has gone up every single year that my opponent has been in office, where it went down while I was mayor. She has more absences than any other member of the County Board of Supervisors, all of them combined. That's a real issue. You have to show up to work, and you have to engage people. I'm going to do that. I have that proven record of doing it. Again, it's not about dollars and process. It's about, do you have the political will to make a difference on our streets? I've proven that. We did it in the city of San Diego, and we need to do it countywide. We have to intervene. Hoping people change their mind doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen, and every provider worth their salt will tell you, you have to intervene, and we will.
So, on to the next question. The McLennan-Palomar Airport is a hot topic of discussion here in Carlsbad. It's obviously a big value to the economy of our region, and it currently has some limited consumer travel options once again. But residents fear that it will be expanded into a new John Wayne-style airport. Kevin, I'm going to ask you to start with this, but share your vision, please, for the airport and its future.
Well, we have a great airport here, but it has to work for our neighbors. And we have to insist that we have, in terms of curfews that work, and we have flights that work. Look, I know a lot about that, having lived in Point Loma with all the airplanes and how the jets and what needs to actually work. You have to work with the community. And that's in all the town halls that I've done and the community events that we've done. My commitment is very clear. This is a regional asset for us. But we have to make sure that it stays an asset that works for our neighbors. We're very fortunate to have that connection for all of our businesses here and our biotechnology and others in Carlsbad. That is very incredibly important. But any potential plans have to actually make sense for the future. And if you're not keeping in mind our neighborhoods, then you're not going to have a plan that's going to work. I've seen that firsthand in terms of, like I said, Point Loma. And so my watchword is going to be interaction with our neighbors, and again, supporting a plan that will ultimately work. You have to get consensus. I spent a lot of time on getting consensus, and if you don't have it, you're never going to actually move the needle. That's the approach that I've taken my entire career, and that's the approach I'm going to take on all of these issues when it comes to acting.
Thanks. I'm excited to talk about the airport because I think we've made a lot of big strides on that in the last couple of years. But first, I think it's important to respond to some of the misinformation my opponents put out. The shelter, he was talking about the county shelter. I'm sorry you don't know what the county is, what the city is, but it is a county shelter we erected when I was elected. And he's also been talking a lot about showing up, which I think is an important theme as well. You do have to show up. And I'm proud that I've been at 95% of my Board of Supervisors meetings, as opposed to my opponent, Kevin Faulkner, who missed 84% of the committee meetings he was supposed to go to when he was the mayor. So just making sure that we're all reading the news and looking at the same facts. But to talk about the Palomar situation at the airport, we've been working really hard with the community. I think we've made some big progress. I think the new governing structure is a huge step forward, making sure that Carlsbad really has a voice in the airport. I saw our PAC board representative here, who's doing a great job being a squeaky wheel. I'm firmly against expanding an airport in a way that's going to impact our residents. We can't be having jets flying over people's houses in the middle of the night. It is terrible. We know that we've been fighting for a 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. flight time. The FCC has not been helpful on this. We've written letters, we're fighting on that, but I have been working very hard to make sure we don't expand the airport, we don't allow any new contracts that are going to lead to mission creep, and that would result in negative impacts on people having to deal with jets over their house in the middle of the night. It's not acceptable, and it's not okay. And thank you to Shirley for your service.
The state of California has legislated minimum wage requirements in certain industries, including fast food and healthcare. This has created a strain on those business sectors and has also contributed to bankruptcy filings for some businesses in those sectors. Please share your view on any future regional or local minimum wage initiatives that could be presented in the county. And Tara, could you start answering this question, please?
Sure. I think let's talk about the fact that we are dealing with a cost of living crisis in the country and in California. And some of our frontline workers, especially our health workers, are out there every single day serving our community. And we know we're not going to have people working in those jobs. We're not going to have people in the hospitals. We're not going to have people showing up to help kids who are suffering from a mental health crisis if they're not getting paid basic living wages. That is our responsibility to make sure that our health is protected and that our community is protected, and that the people who are on the front lines fighting for us and serving us every day are treated with dignity and respect and are paid fairly. And that is my number one commitment, is to fight for the middle class and fight for working families here in San Diego County and across the region. I don't foresee any kind of minimum wage initiative here in the county. I don't think that that's on the table. My view is that it would be very challenging to implement and very distortive, because it would only impact the unincorporated areas. So that's important for people to understand, that a county minimum wage would be only in the unincorporated parts of the county. It would only be in East County. It wouldn't impact Carlsbad. It wouldn't impact Encinitas. It wouldn't impact the city of San Diego. So I think, frankly, those are city issues. I believe in the local control of cities to decide those issues for themselves. I'm a big proponent of local control. But in terms of my broader position on working families and making sure that one job should be enough, you shouldn't have to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs to put food on the table for your kids. I'm going to always be fighting for working people. Thanks.
Thank you.
I think the Chamber of Commerce, Carlsbad and Encinitas, has been on the front line of screaming to the top of their lungs, please don't put any more burdens on us for our small businesses. And yes, on the inflation, it's killing everybody right now. People are struggling. Now, I'm very proud when we talk about, folks of all different backgrounds and all socioeconomic status that work in our restaurants. They're doing such a phenomenal job, working very, very. I'm proud to have the Restaurant Association's help and support and endorsement of this race, because they know we have to have a county that understands how incredibly important these jobs are, and not drive our men and women out of this county or force businesses to close. It took so much proactive action when it came to ensuring that we have a healthy business climate. Our dollars don't come from Washington, D.C. It comes from a strong economy. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. I learned that a long time ago. And COVID hit, when we moved so close, so fast to have small business relief funds in the city of San Diego, one of the first big cities that did that. When we did all the other things to say we're going to help you out, our small business to survive, outdoor dining that everybody else followed afterwards. Why? Because we need to keep people employed and keep people at work. It's incredibly important that the county does not put on additional burdensome regulations that is going to drive our small businesses out of business. We need you, Chamber of Commerce. We need you to be successful.
Thank you. Okay, so our next question is centered around tourism, which is of course a very important aspect to our District 3 and of course to San Diego in general. But what challenges do you see in this industry, and how would you support tourism as supervisor? And Kevin, if you could kick us off with this one, please.
Couldn't agree more how important tourism is to our economy, one of the massive major drivers throughout the entire county, and of course right here in Carlsbad. I mentioned I was fortunate enough to have the support of our Restaurant Association. Just last week I got the support of our Lodging Industry Association. How important that is to folks that are coming, spending dollars, and keeping those dollars here in our local economy. They understand that they need to have a supervisor who's going to fight for them and do everything we can to grow our tourism economy. I have a very strong record of this while I was mayor, and I'm going to have an equally stronger record when I'm on the Board of Supervisors. Because every dollar that we're getting somebody to come into San Diego County, put money in our hotels, stay in our restaurants, visit great attractions like Legoland right across the street, we're growing our economy, and that gets us the dollars that we need in the county that helps us keep our libraries, our parks, pave our roads. And the more we can do that, the more we don't have to do what some like to do, which is constantly go back and say, we need a tax increase. And so I'm going to be a champion of the tourism economy, just as I have all of these years. It is a strength for us here in San Diego County. It's a competitive advantage. We need a supervisor that understands that, is going to promote that, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Tourism is one of the most important economic drivers of our region. It's in the top 3 industries and has been for decades. So many jobs depend on it. And at the end of the day, what drives our tourism economy is how beautiful and how special of a place San Diego is. And that means we have to fight to keep our beaches and coastlines clean, to protect our water, to protect our air, because that's why people come to San Diego. They come to San Diego to go to the beach. They come to San Diego to surf. And I'll tell you, I've been working for Obama and living on the East Coast for a long time. I moved home because I surf and I miss the ocean, right? I often tell folks I feel like I should get you see all those surfers out there, and they should get a little premium for all the tourists who take pictures of them. That's why people are here. It is for our beautiful beaches, our beautiful coastlines. And that's why protecting our beaches, protecting our water, fighting for clean water, tackling the sewage crisis in Tijuana, building on our stormwater infrastructure has been one of the main things I've been working on since I was elected. There has been a massive disrepair of our stormwater infrastructure under the previous County Board of Supervisors. They really just did not invest in tackling our stormwater crisis and leading to massive runoff that was polluting our beaches. And since I was elected, we've invested $200 million to fix our dilapidated stormwater system and keep our beaches clean. I've been fighting to tackle the Tijuana sewage crisis, and I am very proud to report that due to a lot of arm twisting, a lot of advocacy, not just by myself, but by my other colleagues, my other Democratic colleagues, Mike Levin and Scott Peters and Juan Vargas and Nora Vargas, we've managed, thank you, we've managed the Mexican government to agree to fix the Punta Bandera sewage treatment plant that's down in Rosarita.
Thank you, Tara. Time is now up.
Okay, hopefully we'll talk more about sewer. Thank you.
And this is to do with housing, which we all know, because we live here, is crazy expensive. So affordable housing is a major concern, as we all know, in District 3. Now, share your vision for making housing more affordable in this district. Tara, if you could start with this one, please.
We are dealing with a housing crisis. The skyrocketing costs of rents and buying a home are making it so hard for young families to stay here. I know a lot of people have kids who are being priced out of our region, and that's why tackling the skyrocketing costs of rents and buying a home have been some of the main issues I've been working on in the last 4 years. I just want to run briefly through some of the stuff we've been doing. First of all, I implemented the county's first ever permitting streamlining process. So now if you're building affordable units, you can get a permit within 15 days. We modeled this program off of a program in Phoenix that had shown wide success. We put this together with a lot of input from a lot of builders. The kind of builders who want to build affordable homes, not the kind who support Kevin's campaign who want to build sprawling mansions all the way out into Borrego Desert. But the ones that really want to build affordable housing. So now we have a permitting process. If you're building affordable homes, you can get a permit in 15 days. We have identified 6 county sites of surplus land. We're on track to build 10,000 affordable units in the next by 2030. We are on track. Within 2.5 years, we've done more than 50% of our state-mandated RENA targets. For you housing nerds in the room, you know that that's how many housing units we have to build according to the state of California. We're on track to do 4 times more than we've been mandated. And we're trying to take on some of of the biggest drivers of our housing crisis, companies like Blackstone, who are coming in, buying up 5,600 units in the city of San Diego, jacking up rents 200%, pricing people out of their homes. And we know that 35% of the single-family homes in California were bought by investors last year, and we're tackling that crisis head-on in the county and saying, not on my watch.
We're absolutely in the midst of a housing crisis, and yet we have our county government, who is in charge of land use decisions in the unincorporated area of San Diego County, has permitted last year 57 residential units. You know how many tentative maps have been submitted this year for other housing projects? 0. Because we have a de facto moratorium. If your vision is you want to cram everybody into the coast and everybody's going to take the trolley to work into Costco, that's not going to work. We have to be realistic about this. We have to increase the supply. So I pulled my 2 kids back to college a couple weeks ago. I want them to be able to come back to San Diego. I really do. But if we're not increasing the supply and making our region more affordable, we're going to continue to drive more people out of San Diego County. And the folks that were counting on those houses, by the way, out in Lakeside, Alpine, Pomona, that all got shut down where it would have been affordable, where we could have located these village concepts and the surrounding commercial developments. So not only would it have been great for families that are trying to actually afford San Diego, but it would have been great for our construction workers and everybody else who's working so hard to try to get a job. But instead, what we have now in the county of San Diego is a de facto housing moratorium. That is not going to work. I fundamentally disagree on saying we're going to jam everything into the coast and we're just going to let everybody ride the trolley. That is not who we are as San Diego. So we will replace that draconian DMT. We will build these houses and keep our families and our jobs close to where they live instead of getting on the freeway and driving to Temecula and Riverside every day. We can do it if you actually follow the plan that has been developed and not go down these crazy concepts like everybody's going to be jammed in west of the I-5. That's just not going to work.
Thank you. So that marks the end of that section of tonight's debate. And now it's the fun part, candidates, because we have 3 get-to-know-you questions. And these are going to be good fun, so we're going to get to know them a little bit on a personal level. Okay, so I have 3 questions for you. So do you both have a pen and paper? Okay. So if you can write down the answers and then share your papers with me, and I will read them out.
Where? What's the timing?
Oh, the timing is 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to answer these questions. In fact, Sherry, I think that's a bit generous. Should we do a minute? I think let's do a minute. Let's do a minute because that's I think that's pretty generous. Okay, so question number 1. Share your 3 favorite books you have ever read. And your 1 minute starts now.
That's actually a pretty good question. Insightful. Yeah, very. What is the art of war? Confucius, art of war.
And stop writing. Okay, I'm actually going to ask you guys to read those out. Because, no offense, but I'm seeing some doctors writing over there. I'm probably not going to be able to read. So, Tara, why don't you answer first of all? Share your 3 favorite books, please.
Yeah, professor writing, but yes. So my books are Development is Freedom by Nobel Prize winning economist Amartya Sen. Barbarians at the Gate, a surf book that I love. And Thinking Fast and Slow, also another book by a famous economist.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Kevin, your 3 favorite books, please.
The last slide, written by William Manchester, had all to do with Winston Churchill and his background and biography and what he had to do in terms of making the tough decisions in a very difficult time with the world. My second one was a political book written by Christopher Matthews, of all people, called Hardball. It talked about how you should get involved in politics and how you should be able to work with people of all different stripes. And then my last one was Ernest Hemingway, Sun Also Rises. I'd love to be able to live that lifestyle at some point.
Thank you. Okay, so, this is a good one. So question number 2, candidates. Name 2 people of influence in your life that have left a lasting impact, and your time starts now.
That one's easy.
15 seconds. And Tara, stop writing, please. Okay, well, Kevin, seeing as you finished first, you go first.
A person of influence is actually one of my heroes. He happens to be in the room tonight. My mom's here. Hi, Mom. Thank you for coming. Glad you're here. She taught me at a very early age about perseverance and about sticking to stuff. It's what she did to go back to school while she was working and get her degrees and others, and she's been quite an inspiration. So I'm glad you're here tonight. Thank you, Mom. Second one is my father, who got me involved in government and the importance of getting involved. He was a deputy city manager in my hometown, in the city of Oxford. And as a kid, I would do homework in city council chambers, and that's probably where some of this rubbed off on me. So I was very, very fortunate to have 2 parents that really gave me every opportunity, and just means the world to me.
Thank you, Kevin. And Tara, what about you?
I got 2 as well. My first was my dad, and he was always my role model growing up. He was a journalist, a community organizer, just a sort of a fierce fighter for San Diego, and definitely helped me kind of figure out how to be an organizer. He was the one when I was really upset about Prop 187 when I was in high school, a really racist bill that was criminalizing folks based on the color of their skin. He's the one who helped me figure out how to organize a walkout. Sorry. Okay. The other one is Lil Brainer. She was my boss when I was senior advisor at the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and she now leads the Council on Economic Advisors in the Biden administration. She's just always wore heels, always looked awesome, and was always the smartest person in the room. So amazing.
Thank you. Okay, so the last question is the best question. Where was the last vacation you took outside of the county? So don't mention San Diego. So where did you go and when was your last vacation? 60 seconds, I think 30 seconds for this one, and your clock starts now.
Yeah, I went on a surf trip to Puerto Vallarta with my daughter and a couple friends, and
Nice.
Thanks.
Kevin, how about you?
Unfortunately, no vacations this summer because it's campaign time, obviously, for all of us. But last summer I went to Catalina and was able to spend time with the kids and had a great time. I love being able to go there, not just for the water, but the natural environment inside the island. It's a special place where you can relax and just be away from the city.
Thank you so much. Somewhere where I really want to visit too. Okay, thank you, candidates. So now, audience, thank you. We've got quite a few questions from you guys. So I'm going to read out a few of these. Let's start with this one. This is to do with crime, candidates. So we've had multiple questions actually concerning crime, including and particularly about retail theft and school shootings. So, Kevin, let's start with you. Please share your views on keeping our community safe and how would you do that?
Number one thing all of us can do in this room, this election cycle, is to support Prop 36. We have to change Prop 36. And the fact that my opponent did not support Prop 36 when it came to the County Board of Supervisors several weeks ago, it's not who we are in San Diego. Prop 47, I think all of us know, was that measure that gave us retail theft, smash and grabs, the ability to steal $950 with no consequences, do hard drugs on the streets with no consequences. Drug courts virtually dried up for this. I was proud to have the support not only of our Carlsbad Police Officers Association, but of our deputy district attorneys who are on the front line of ensuring that there are consequences for actions. We need to enforce Prop 36 because if we don't have a safe county, we don't have anything. And I will tell you just as an aside, we are very fortunate here in San Diego County to have the best district attorney in the entire country in Summer Step. Summer Steffen deserves a board that's going to back her up, that's going to back our district attorneys. And so if you think that things are okay, then as I said, don't support Prop 36. But Prop 36 has been one of those things that has bipartisan support. It has mayors up and down, Democrat, Republicans. We have district attorneys, we have police officers, and others that are supporting it. We need to support Prop 36. And when she had the opportunity to do it just a couple weeks ago, she said, no, I want to wait a couple months.
Thank you, Kevin. Tara, your response, please.
I think we have a theme of misinformation going on in this debate, but just to make sure folks know what happened in the board a couple weeks ago, there was a request for us to support Prop 36. There was a lot of concern from community members that it was going to lead to defunding a lot of our mental health and substance abuse treatment programs that people rely on. We decided that we needed the county to do a fiscal budget analysis and come back to us in a couple of weeks. So early October, we will be considering that. I don't yet have a position. I'm a person who believes in having information before I make decisions. Unlike my opponent who did buy a building full of asbestos on a handshake deal without an inspection. So, we do have a difference in governance styles. But I think another real difference between us is on gun safety. I've made protecting our communities from gun violence a top priority since I was elected. We've passed the county's first ever ban on ghost guns. We've sued ghost gun manufacturers. Thank you. We've passed the safe storage ordinance. We've partnered with schools to actually enforce that safe storage ordinance. We've gone from a county.
No interruptions, please, while the candidates.
We've gone from a county that did nothing on guns to a county that is now leading the state on tackling gun violence. And that is in direct contradiction to my opponent's point of view, who has refused to support a ban on assault weapons. Who, when he had the opportunity to support a safe storage bill, he refused to support that at City Hall. So, if you want a candidate who looks at the data before we make decisions, instead of selling our buildings to our best campaign friends, if you want a candidate who actually is committed to tackling gun violence and keeping our kids safe, instead of kowtowing to the radical gun lobby like the San Diego Gun Owners Association, who has endorsed my opponent, I think voters in November have a pretty clear choice.
Sarah, your time's up. Thank you so much. answers. In San Diego, obviously we know, it's been reported as one of the most expensive places to live in the country. In what ways will you ensure that working families can maintain their livelihoods here in San Diego? Tara, let's start with you.
This is flashing. Okay. Try speaking into it. It's red.
Okay, I think we're on. Okay, my time to start.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We've already touched for a moment earlier in the debate on the importance of supporting working families. Working families and middle class, that's what makes up our neighborhoods. That's who San Diego is, that's who District 3 is. And there's a lot that needs to be done. First of all, number one is continue to make real progress on the affordable housing crisis. I already talked a little bit before about what we were doing on that, and I'm going to continue fighting the Blackstones that are trying to jack up prices, fighting to make sure that we can get affordable units instead of sprawling mansions permitted in a reasonable time, fighting to make sure that we can have homes that people can actually afford instead of houses that are $1.4 million to get your foot in the door. Number two, one of the things we have to make sure that we continue to do is support our unions. So we have to support the people who are working day in, day out in our community to serve us in the healthcare industry, to make sure that we can be safe, to make sure that when we show up at the doctor, that we can be treated, that the radiologist who takes your x-ray actually gets paid a living wage, that the behavioral health workers who are responsible for making sure that your kids in school can actually get the help that they so desperately need, that we keep paying people what they need to live so that they don't leave San Diego, so they don't move out of our community. That's the second thing we have to do, is we have to make sure that the people who are on the front line serving our community get paid a living wage, get treated with dignity and respect, and do not move out of San Diego. And the third thing that we have to do for working families is make sure that we are investing in transit, making sure that people can get to school, can get to work, aren't being stuck way out in the middle of nowhere in a house that they can't afford, needing to drive 60 minutes, 90 minutes, spending hundreds of dollars on gasoline.
Thank you, Tara. Time is up. Thank you so much.
Breaking the rules, right? So we're breaking the rules.
Response, please.
Come on.
I have to go back to a previous answer. Because if you need another 2 months, after 10 years of the failed experiment of Prop 47, you are so out of touch with the reality of what's happening on our streets, ladies and gentlemen. Every time you go to Target, you see everything locked up and it takes forever to try to get something. That's a uniquely California experiment because of the failed Prop 47. It's crazy what's going on. And not only do we need to end the retail theft, the smash and grabs, but we have to hold fentanyl dealers accountable for pushing the poison that they're pushing on our kids and our families. And so if you're going to say, I'm not sure about Prop 36, that's okay. But I think the vast majority of Californians are pretty clear about what they're going to do, particularly the million Californians that signed that ballot to say, we are not going to have this continue. It is a failed experiment. We need leadership in the county that understands that and is going to take action. That's going to be hugely important. And let me just say the big three issues for our quality of life here, they're the homeless, there's housing, and there's crime. That's the basics of what we should be doing. And on every single point right now, our county is falling farther and farther behind. Homelessness skyrocketing, housing at a moratorium, a board that's not supporting the most basic, simplest, common sense crime measure that the state has probably ever seen. This is not Republican or Democrat, ladies and gentlemen. This is common sense. What's the right thing that we should be doing for San Diego County? And so if you want somebody who's going to analyze and talk and not ever make a decision, you have your person. If you want somebody who's going to act, who knows the difference in terms of what we need to do, who knows the difference of right and wrong on our streets, I ask for your help and support.
Thank you, Mr. So our final audience question children. So, what efforts do you propose the county can do to address the issue of foster children who will be removed from foster homes because the insurance company has indicated these homes will no longer be insured? Kevin, you have the privilege of answering our last question first. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We have to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect that insurance and how important foster kids are for a healthy, vibrant county. I've had the opportunity to work firsthand with particularly some of the private foster care providers who do life-changing work. And when it comes to kids, I can only just say very, very simply, we owe it to them. We owe it to them not to get caught up in the bureaucracy. We owe it to them to ensure what is in the best welfare of our kids and in terms of what we're going to do to ensure that our providers can continue to provide. What they're doing is they're changing lives up. And so we have to work to make sure we're keeping that insurance going. We have to make sure that the county is actually leading on providing those opportunities. The county can't do it alone. You have to work with our private providers because, like I said, they're doing the Lord's work. They're doing life-changing work, and they will have my full support.
Interesting. Your question had two questions intertwined. It was about foster kids and about the rising cost of homeowners insurance. So I'll try to answer both in my 2 minutes. First of all, thank you to a lot of our, we have some folks I see here today I know work with foster youth. I see you all. I see you. I appreciate you. I love you. So thank you for what you do every day. One of the programs I'm most proud of in the county is a new initiative that I rolled out that's really about keeping foster families, kids from falling into foster care in the first place. There's a lot of kids that are on the edge, their families are on the edge, they're struggling to make ends meet. And the reason they end up in our foster system is because their families are at the brink of not being able to support them, not being able to put food on the table, not being able to keep a roof over their head. So we piloted a program at the county that I proposed to, instead of just removing kids who are at risk because of financial reasons, we're now providing financial support to help keep families together, especially families that are primarily facing economic uncertainty, and that economic uncertainty is what's driving kids' entry into the foster system. Because fundamentally, we know that once kids are in the foster system, it can be so difficult and so traumatic, and we want to do everything we can to keep families together. I'm very proud of this program. It was actually just covered in Tribune a couple weeks ago as showing some incredibly promising results, and hopefully we're going to be able to continue scaling that up. And it's the kind of innovation that I brought to the county, which is looking for programs that work, looking for different ways of doing things, and then taking that data, taking that impact, and rolling it out and scaling it up across the county. I also just want to mention that I've been leading the fight to take on State Farm, that has been refusing to issue insurance policies in the state of California. We have said that that's not acceptable. People have been paying insurance for decades, and they deserve their right to be insured. Thank you.
So that concludes all of our questions for tonight. The last thing that is left to ask of you candidates is your closing statements, please. So the rules of this are you have 2 minutes each to present a closing statement to the audience. And Tara, I'm going to invite you to go first for this one. Thank you.
What I just want to say is it would be a huge honor to continue to represent District 3 on the County Board of Supervisors. I think that there is a clear choice in this race. My opponent has been a strong supporter of Donald Trump. I worked for Obama. My opponent has spread misinformation in mailers and even tonight. I am an educator by training, an economist by training, who's focused on data and focused on facts. My opponent approved the purchase of a building full of asbestos on a handshake deal without an inspection, profiting his campaign donors $15 million. I've been working hard since I was elected to fight for clean water, clean air, clean streets for the citizens of San Diego, because we could have taken that $264 million that he wasted on Ash Street and housed San Diego. And thank you. I'm looking forward to the next 4 years. We've made a lot of progress, but we have a long way to go. Reproductive freedom is under attack across our country.
No please, no clapping. I'm going to continue.
I am going to continue fighting, like I already have for the last 4 years, to make San Diego a safe haven for reproductive freedom, to make sure mifepristone is available for anyone who needs it. I'm going to continue fighting to tackle the crisis of gun violence in our communities and keep our communities safe from gun violence. And I'm going to continue rolling out real programs that really work. Our diversion program, our senior shallow rent subsidy, the programs to keep foster youth together, our care court program to make sure to mandate that people with mental health crises get the help that they need to really tackle our homelessness crisis instead of the cooking the books with numbers that are not telling the truth. Thank you.
Thank you again, and thank you for everybody for coming tonight. It's a real privilege, and there's an absolute distinction about our two approaches. If you want rhetoric, if you want inaction on the issues that are the most pressing, you know what you're getting. But if you want somebody who's going to come in and shake up the status quo, who's going to have that sense of urgency, who's going to show up for work, I would ask for your help and support. The fact that our opponent, my opponent, has the worst attendance record of any supervisor and has missed more meetings than all supervisors combined, I think should lead you to believe why we're seeing some of the problems that we're seeing here in this district. You have to roll up your sleeves. You have to go up to work. It's hard work. But you actually have to have a sense of urgency. And again, what we're seeing in our county is a lack of urgency. So bad that the state of California took away money from the county a month ago and gave it to San Jose on homelessness. The number one issue that we're seeing increase, our county sits back and is not doing anything. That is a disservice to the people that are out on the street. I took action while I was there. The only big city in California that we drove down, and it wasn't easy. But I took an approach that said, I will work with anyone to benefit everyone. I'm a person that is, if you want somebody super partisan, I'm not your person. I work with bipartisan, I work with Democrats and Republicans. I have one goal. How are we going to get the job done for San Diegans? That's how we were able to accomplish what we accomplished in San Diego. So if you want somebody who's going to take that exact same approach, if you want somebody who understands public safety, if we don't have a safe county, we don't have anything. If you want somebody who's going to say, we're going to actually put those housing units back instead of taking them away, I ask for your help because I am running because the best days of this county are ahead of us. If we roll up our sleeves, if we show up to work, if we bring people together, we will get the job done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you to the Windmill for hosting us. Thank you to our candidates. Thank you, both of you. And audience, thank you, because without you this wouldn't have been the event that it was. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you. Good night.
They do this every time, and it's ridiculous. And they say, "Oh, we're going to put it on the website," and then we get a chopped up, not raw footage presentation or edited. Yeah, I'm tired of that. They keep trying to control these things so that the general public doesn't get to see what's actually going on. Yeah. And I'm done with it.
And everybody's a citizen journalist.
Yeah, what the heck? Fuck that. No way. No way.
Let me know when you're running for office.
I definitely will.
Congress?
Who knows yet?
Castillo Jacobs?
I don't live in our district anymore, but yeah.
Well, Bill Rose is going to be next.
I hope he wins.
Are you going to be at the event tomorrow night? The meeting?
He has a debate against Sarah. Yeah, me too. I'll be at that one. Yeah, I'll be at that one.
It's going to be fun. I cannot wait.
I will be at that one.
I'm going to that for sure. Any other debates you know of?
Not that I know of. I usually post it on my social media, so just keep...
He's too scared.
I don't think he has an opponent. Or I don't know his opponent.
I don't know. Did you see it? No, I wouldn't know.
All right, so if you're still here, or if you do end up watching this, yeah, I didn't turn off my phone. Fuck, that's... The hell? You're not going to tell me, oh, you know, we have footage. Oh, you know, we can watch it later. Nah. No. Nope. So hopefully you got to listen to that. There will be footage eventually, I'm sure released somewhere, but I wanted to give an unedited, raw footage, raw audio of that whole event. So hopefully you got to hear it, and yeah.